Okay, hello everybody. This is July 16th, 2023, about 8 o'clock. A bit tired because I have just done back to back 6 hour driving days going from San Diego to Tucson and back for family obligations, I guess. And that's unfortunately why I had to miss yesterday's games. Sorry about that, especially to my teammates, the Juggernauts. Um, yeah, unfortunately have to take care of family stuff. But to continue on with covering Avon's Grove in Myth World Cup 2023, I'm going to go over the games that were played today. If you recall, unfortunately, Avon's Grove has only won, I think, one game so far. They might have tied another game, so that they're still trying to find some upward momentum, and if they're going to do it, at least this year, this is the time to do so because this is the elimination round. Again, thanks a lot. Another round of thanks for Rat King for putting together Myth World Cup this year. And as is tradition, I guess it is a double elimination, and so if Avon's Grove loses this match against Team Save Myth, the captain of which is actually Rat King himself, they are going to be one step closer to elimination. So hopefully they can find some momentum. But until then, yep, here we go. So if you recall, when I streamed Avon Grove's last appearance, I think maybe with Cryptos, before I did the live stream, the 3 game series, Juggernauts versus Avon's Grove. I think we isolated 3 sort of things that Avon's Grove should try and focus on, and that was to keep moving. We were able to see a lot of idle units, and idle units, unless they're guarding a flag or something like that, are generally a bad idea. Um, you know, Read the terrain. I remember one of those games. They spent a lot of points on soulless when they didn't really serve a purpose. And then when you're going up against a better team, should try and play a bit unpredictably, try and induce some chaos, and that might maximize your chances of winning. So as you can see, this is what Avon's Grove is playing with. Let me give a shout out to Garnish, Kronjek, Gerald, Frederick, Edulus, Two Frogs Walking, Vigor, and Sabbath. I'm not sure if Frederick and Edulus are actually on the roster for Avon's Grove. I believe Sabbath is. And of course, everyone else, we've seen them play on behalf of Avon's Grove. But they could be accepting substitutes. And meanwhile, for Team Save Myth, we have Asmodean, Rat King, Foss, Professional Killer Zell, Monty, and Gecko, all very solid players. And so one interesting thing here is we see Team Asmodean going for a lot of the soulless, very few Stygian Knights, and more goals for maneuverability. Whereas Avon's Grove, they have 11 soulless, it looks like, and I think they maxed the Stygian Knights. We will see how that turns out. Stygian Knights, very good melee units, but very susceptible to explosions, and that's including pus. Even though, I don't think anybody really focuses on killing Stygian Knights with pus, even though it might be worth it if the Stygian Knights are clumped together.
Game on.
But we see lots of melee units, which for this map, I guess it might work, but I think if they wanted to exert some pressure, they need to get a move on. Instead, garnish with maybe a bit slow on the draw, handing out units. Meanwhile, we see, Asmodean already healed all their whites, and pretty much everybody's pretty much outside of the starting area. So they've, Asmodean perhaps displaying some veteran captaining, whipping his army into shape. Pretty much everybody's outside of the starting area. But unfortunately, Team Avon's Grove is just a little too slow, I think. And yeah, I think they definitely have to get a move on here. Meanwhile, we see some exploratory flanks with two frogs walking. I think this is another thing that we talked about. I really don't like how, one player has control of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of units. It's just really kind of difficult to manage. And I don't know, how effective you can be when you're juggling so many different unit types. Kronjak, on the other hand, only appears to have just a 4, I guess, minus the Soulless and the Heron, or the yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but there's Kronjak Soulless. But yeah, I mean, I guess their instructions are to seal off these flanks, and I think sealing off the flanks is actually a good idea if they just went all in Stygian Knights right up the middle. I think if they can seal this, and Kronjak can seal that, Stygian Knights up the gut, they would have run into a bunch of Soulless, which of course they're immune, and then they would have had a pretty good shot right at the flag over here. But yeah, I don't know. Just a bit out of position. These Stygian Knights really need to be up doing something. Meanwhile, we see Monty making a push, perhaps. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. Kronjak with some self-damage. And Team Safe Myth is making a huge push with these Soulless. Foss and Asmodean himself. They are really just kind of exerting their will. Meanwhile, we see Bridgestone, or two frogs walking. Something must have happened here. Maybe a pus bomb or something. But Bridgestone is really just kind of getting surrounded. By Gecko and Professional Killer. Foss is probably going to seal this off. I mean, Foss should be sealing it off. Oh man, explosions going everywhere. And now Zell is okay. He uses the pus on the Stygian Knights because they might be able to get them all if he can melee. Oh, there he goes. Yep, and that is it. That is it. So a nice push there by Zell. Pussing the Stygian Knights to get them nice and damaged, and then the Heron cards in mop-up duty, able to take up Avon Groves' flag. I feel like, whether by design or not, Avon's Grove actually chose a really, really good counter to Asmodean's unit selection. Asmodean spent probably, I don't know, 60 points, something like that. He got maybe 20 soulless, so it would have been 60 unit points on the soulless, and Team Avon's Grove, they basically got maximum Stygian Knights. So that's an excellent counter, whether that was intentional or not. But as we saw at the beginning of the game, a lot of them were just kind of standing around, not doing anything, and it's kind of surprising how Team Safe Myth was able to get so much push with the Soulless, knowing that about half of Avon's Grove army was those Stygian Knights, who are of course immune to the Soulless, and I think a lot of it had to do with just being a little bit too slow off the starting gun, and we see all these Stygian Knights here, completely out of position, not really sure what was going on. We saw an unfortunate accident here with Kronjak getting surrounded by I think it was Monty, and yeah, it was unfortunate.
Team eliminated. Game over.
But on the same hand, we got to give credit to Team Save Myth. They were perhaps a bit embarrassed last week against their match against the newest team, Juggernauts, and so they could be all business this week. And the seriousness with which they played might have been evident in that last game. And we'll see if they can continue riding that momentum. This is game number 2, Spinach Between Your Teeth. The game type, King of the Hill. Let's see what happens now. So one of the interesting things is, of course, the hill here is on an island with these what would you call it, lips, ledges, whatever you want to call it, which are crucial if you want to use terrain to your advantage. Also, if you're able to sort of take the island by itself, and then hold it long enough for your artillery to get into position, then you pretty much won the game. I'm sure that is what Team Save Myth is thinking right now. Edulus is saying, rush mid and hold it. I actually think, depending on how long this game is, if it's 8 minutes or something, I think a full-on melee rush might actually not be a bad idea. Again, for the second game in a row, we see Asmodean choosing a lot of bowmen, a lot of artillery. He's giving it to Monty and Rat King. Probably going to split it up a bit further. But yeah, that's interesting. I think if Avon's Grove were to just rush this, rush it and hold for 4.5 minutes, they'll win by default. If you just have a thrall wall and then keep the dwarves, have them throwing in the water so that a lot of their bottles miss, it's really going to hamper their ability to push. And I think a thrall wall sort of on the outside would take a long time for archers and dwarves to blast through. Speaking of which, they only have one dwarf, so you know, a thrall wall would actually work nicely in this situation. But we'll see if Avon's Grove can get there fast enough. I like the unit selection. You know, plenty of melee units, and I actually think for the second straight game, again, whether it's intentional or not intentional, Avon's Grove has the unit set to counter Save Myth's unit set,
Game on.
especially with the objective being King of the Hill. I actually do think Avon's Grove is in better position to win this game, so we'll see if they can convert it. Again, one of the things you hate to see is just these idle units. Two Frogs Walking needs to get a move on. Yeah, this is actually a situation where I would focus my pus on the warriors, and if you can wipe out their warriors, then they really can't push the thrall, and they can't, I mean, they would have to rely on the archers, and the thrall can just sit there and absorb damage and soak up time. So I actually think Avon's Grove is in a really good position here. They just have to convert. These guys are perhaps going a bit too wide. I don't know what Edulus is doing. And yeah, they really should just be all rush. First of all, they could rush these guys right here if they wanted to stay away from the dwarf. But instead we see these ghouls causing havoc.
Flag captured. Flag contested.
Looks like some dwarves need to get to the front lines, I think. These melee units are getting... there's not enough cohesion, I don't think. What is Edulus doing? I have no idea.
Flag contested.
Nice throw there from whoever's dwarf that was.
Remaining.
Ooh, this Foss guy, this dwarf doing plenty of damage. And it looks like Team Save Myth is gonna get this one. Edulus finally making his way to the battle. I really don't know. I don't know what was going on with Edulus. You know, Garnish also doesn't seem to know what Edulus was doing that game. That dwarf really could have been used on this front line, trying to tear up these groups of melee. But yeah, again, it's just, I feel like Avon's Grove had the optimal unit set to counter Team Save Myth. They just had to be a little more coordinated in their melee push, You know, this side over here, I mean, there were some goals protecting these archers, but really, I mean, there was about, I don't know, 40 unit trading points worth of free kills in this area, and there was only one dwarf. There was only one freaking dwarf on Team Save Myth, and that was controlled by Foss, who did a pretty solid amount of damage there, 17 kills. So if I think if Avon's Grove rushed the side that didn't have the dwarf, and basically slaughtered all these archers and then rotated once the thrall came in a little bit later, they could have won this game kind of easily, because they would have had enough muscle to push this group back after slaughtering these units here. They could have just sat on the flag, and let the thrall absorb all those arrows and try and pick off the dwarf with a pus or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's the second straight game again where I think that Avon's Grove actually had the perfect unit set to counter Team Save Myth, but the execution is just a little bit disjointed. Again, you know, we saw you know, these melee units attacking this side kind of as a stream, you know, trickling in rather than a full force. The units weren't really spread out that much to minimize dwarf damage, that sort of thing. And then the dwarves of Avon's Grove weren't making a push up the hill either, so it was really just kind of feeding the other team kills. And hopefully, if the coordination was there, I definitely think they could have had it. And I have no idea what Edulus was thinking or doing, but then again, people generally don't know what he's thinking or doing at any given time anyway. But let's move into game number 3. This is Flag Rally, Cadarn, Trow. Let's see if Avon's Grove can bounce back with some dark units here. It is still okay. We see Edulus has left the game. This is now back to 7-on-7. Garnish saying that he does not want to rehost to allow Edulus back in the game. So perhaps Garnish might be a bit heated at Edulus's execution or lack thereof in that last game, and perhaps Avon's Grove, more specifically Captain Garnish, thinks that they might be better off without Edulus, which may or may not be true. I have no idea. Now the strategy for flag rally usually involves guarding this flag, because this is a pretty narrow access point, and it's, you know, a little bit narrower than, say, this flag number 8 here. Also, there's terrain to consider. This is kind of in a depression a bit, so most of the time flag number 6 would be the last one, as well as flag number 4 or the home flag for Team Save Myth. So Asmodean has already started distributing units, so let's see what he's doing. Max Zerx, it looks like, or almost Max Zerx. Tons of Soulless. Monty looks like he's going to get the trowel, and then everyone else is going to get Zerx Fetch and or Artillery. pretty even distribution here, except for of course Monty, who's getting the three biggest units in the game, and it looks like he's also getting a few Zerks to act as support. For Avon's Grove, we have Geralt and Vigor. Vigor with 2 Trow, Geralt with 1.
Game
and then a lot fewer Soulless for Avon's Grove, and it looks like they also didn't max fetch, or maybe they did. Sorry, it's just, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they did max fetch. They're just a bit disjointed. There's only Kronjak's only getting 1. I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like having fetch travel in at least pairs.
Flag captured. Flag captured.
Kron south, rest mid. So that is the strategy. Again,
Flag
right off the bat, we see Kron going south, but we see Geralt and Bridge, or 2 Frogs Walking, going north, actually. I'm not sure if that is by design or not. Again, we see some fetch, just some stragglers, kind of slow. You know, just really, you know, you can tell Team Save Myth has played this game, you know, hundreds of times. They know what to do. This is just completely fragmented.
Flag captured.
You know, there really needs to be more movement, I would say. Vigor wisely backing off because he is down a Trow. Hopefully Sabbath can... Oh, that's not good. These Soulless are going to get... Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so now Sabbath needs to fire on the Zerks. Fire on the Zerks. Okay. I mean, we're getting some... Okay, I mean, there's a wall. There's a wall of Zerks. Now there's a wall of... Oh, this Trow is going to kill all of these fetch. I think now it's just a matter of time, unless Kronjak and Geralt can do something. Geralt's going to lose his Trow to a very, very red Zerk right there.
Flag captured.
So Avon's Grove needs to get this middle flag. Kronjak, I guess, should be trying to rotate, even though these fetch are going to make it pretty much impossible for a Zerk pack to tag the middle. Yeah, you don't want these fetch walking around by themselves. I mean, unfortunately, I don't even think this fetch made it to the front. These Mauls doing what they can to stay on this flag.
Captured. Victory imminent. Flag captured.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that these Zerks can do. They need to spread out and just hope for the best, but even then, it's pretty much going to be impossible for them to take this middle flag.
Flag captured.
Meanwhile, I think Team Save Myth just has to get this unguarded flag here. Yeah, you need to be using a different formation. Kronjak needs to use a... I think could have tried using the long line formation. But at the same time, going up against 3 fetch, it would have been pretty much impossible. And it looks like Save Myth is going to clean it up. So yeah, I mean, things got pretty chaotic. I don't think teams Avon's Grove was really as coordinated, perhaps, as they should have been. But at the same time, I still think they played okay. I mean, there's still the same symptoms that we see in terms of idle units. Units just kind of standing around, not getting where they're supposed to be. But I actually feel that Avon's Grove, they played okay this game. Obviously they still lost by a pretty hefty margin, but at least they had a general idea of where everyone was supposed to go. But I think this was really just a matter of Team Save Myth executing, in a very convincing manner, and them sort of not messing around, getting to the middle with the trout. Monty causing all kinds of chaos. If the opposing team is able to cross the river pretty much unimpeded, even though they were a little bit pinched here at the beginning, and I think it was Sabbath who had some fetch lined up, who could have blasted a lot of those Zerks. I think they were actually in an okay position to deflect this push, but I think they were just a little too uncoordinated, a little too slow, and once they cross the river, it's going to be tough to deflect them. And then, one other major criticism might be the splitting of the trow, because the reason why Monty, after he crossed this little stream here, was able to get so much push was because he kept all the trout together, as well as his Zerk back, and he had plenty of Zerks in backup as well. Well, I think it was Vigor, he only had 2 trout, so he correctly backed up and allowed the fetch to start doing their thing. Would things have been different had Geralt stayed here in the middle and helped deflect Monty's trout, or perhaps even, Garnish should have given Vigor all 3 of the trout and have Geralt run up this flag number 7 with just some Zerks. They still would have tagged this flag up here and might have been able to tag number 4. Not really sure what was up there, but good try from Avon's Grove. But again, it really just comes down to, I guess, reaction time. Because I think, I think they actually did plan out a strategy, but just simple things like moving your units as quickly as possible. Getting to the middle, like that makes all the difference. And again, Team Save Myth, they're not messing around. And they're going to be tough to beat when they're heavily motivated. So, but this is game number 4, Territories, Mjilaphobia. There was some contention about this game because of the game type, not so much the map. Territories, it's a pretty simple strategy where you send half your units to the south, half your units to the north. Sometimes you'll have some melee units kind of going down the middle and then just sort of rotate as necessary. But that's generally the way this map is played, especially Territories. a slightly more interesting game might have been Capture the Flag, but we've already had a Capture the Flag game, so I know that Rat King was probably trying to mix it up a bit in terms of game type. I mean, I think this is a fine choice, but some of the more experienced players didn't really like it, for better or for worse. But I can understand both sides, I guess. Anyway, we see here Team Save Myth with a, this is a pretty typical unit trade for this map. A lot of melee units. You don't really want too much Soulless, especially because the fetch really just destroys Soulless, and the places where Soulless would actually give you an advantage, are mostly in the sort of deep water areas or these high mountains. But because the game is territories, there's not really much of a point in having or in controlling those areas. So, if this were either a capture the flag kind of game where, you send some Soulless up the middle to try and, stave off any people from the dark. You could just camp in this dark water and seal off this kind of wall right here while your main forces go north and south, or something along those lines. It makes sense, but for territories, having minimal Soulless is probably the best thing. Meanwhile, for Avon's Grove, we see a lot of what is this? 10 mauls. For territories, I don't know about having this many mauls. I would rather have some more warlocks and some more melee units. But, mauls are pretty tough, and they are pretty good at holding flags. Their one weakness, I think, is the fetch, because, the fetch really just kind of shred them up. Team Save Myth strategies: Fetchers north, Zell north, but waterside, Foss B and fight, Rat south, me south, Monty mid. Garnish all south, push and crush. So
Flag captured.
I like the fact that Avon's Grove is overloading one flank in an effort to take out one flank and then kind of rotate and try and take out the other. However, this is definitely not the map to do that. I think that these hills are just too kind of narrow to the point where it forces all of the units in sort of a confined area, and confined areas and fetch really just spell disaster. And so
captured.
If this were some other map, I would have really liked this strategy from Avon's Grove.
Flag
but
captured.
if Asmodean and who was the other fetcher, Rat King, I think, if they were to get 3 fetch here and 3 fetch here, then the rush is going to fail for sure, and it'll be over. However, it does look like there isn't much of a south presence, and so I think they really should be trying to chase down these units, try and kill this warlock. Again, standing idle is really not the best way to play this game here, and I think they should be trying to push. I think these Soulless might want to be on this hill right here. Frederick is a bit out of position. Should definitely be here. We got Foss. He's gonna cause some trouble. Even though he has 2 Soulless, he's gonna try and peck at some of these fetch. Maybe even take one out. Okay, so Frederick Wright has the right idea. Oh, but he's retreating. He needs to. It's 8-on-2. He needs to be pushing that, or 7-on-2. All right, there he goes. Okay. Now this is where I think he could be doing some control clicking. Frederick could control click that instead of doing auto aim. Oh, this isn't going to be good. Oh, he got pretty lucky there. But I definitely think a control click.
Flag contested.
Yeah, I think Frederick should be firing at, even though he's getting attacked here, he should be firing at these Soulless. It seems like he's freezing up. He doesn't know what to do. Yeah, I think Frederick froze up a bit. Now, I think Pink is going to, or Avon's Groves are going to get slaughtered here. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much just mop-up duty at this point.
Flag contested. Flag captured. Flag contested.
Bit of an auto fire there from Zill, maybe.
Flag contested. Flag.
And I think this is pretty much going to be over.
Flag
Got a
captured.
Zurich there. Oh, they're going to win by flags. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, I think Avon's Grove, they had pretty solid strategies, or actually, very good unit trades for the first few games. But I think this is an example where the strategy actually didn't fit this map. I'm not really a fan of all rush south on these sort of maps where you're forced to funnel yourself into these very narrow slivers of land, and you're just going to get surrounded and blasted by fetch. But I do like the overload one side flanking strategy, again, just not on this map. And as far as the game itself, I think Frederick, if he had gotten those 7 Soulless here a bit faster, I think if he had control clicked with his Soulless instead of auto aiming, then I think he could have killed that Warlock. And also the fact that 5 Soulless were basically able to push him off. I feel like he could have taken a stronger stand either against those Soulless or against these fetch. He had to start attacking somebody, but instead he just kind of danced around and he didn't really do anything. Even though I don't think the reason why Avon's Grove lost this game was those 7 fetch, or those 7 Soulless. It didn't really help either. But yeah, I mean, again, I like the initiative. I like the aggression. I like the sort of attempt to be unpredictable and to induce chaos. But this definitely was not the right map to do it on.
Game over.
All right, and with that, we are going to watch the last game. This is Monsoon Bay Forest Giants, king of the map. So this is a second dark map in a row. Drunken says, I'll leave it up to you. I'm happy to observe. Adrenaline, he's here for the lulls. Perhaps enjoying other people's misery. Who knows? Ion saying, if possible, a lock for me, please. And then he says, me too. I'm not sure if he's responding to himself or if he's responding to Adrenaline. Not really sure. But nonetheless, we see Rat King and Monty with the Forest Giants for Team Save Myth. You know, a reminder that Monty absolutely crushed it with the Trow in the Caer Cadarn game. So maybe he's being rewarded with a Forest Giant here. And, you know, we see a lot of artillery. 6 mortars, 3 warlocks. Let's see what we have here. We see 4 mortars and 3 warlocks. So I guess, I mean, there's a handful of soulless, but I think there is maximum Zerks here. Yeah, there's a few more Zerks instead of 2 mortars. And I guess there's some Thrall Elite for some flag duty, I guess. And yeah, I mean, speaking of flag duty, there really are no solid flag guarding units. This is kind of an offensive set here. I mean, you don't really want to put Zerks on the flag because, you know, each one is 3 unit points, and you don't want to sink too many Zerks on the flag because, you know, it's a lot of unit points to just stand there, and plus they're probably just going to get smacked by a Forest Giant or something, so you kind of want to keep them together. Yeah, I think Team Avon's Grove needed to have some more flag guarding units. You know, maybe killing these soulless and getting like 15 Thrall Elite or something, because I don't think these 5 soulless are gonna really make that much of a difference in this game. But 15, or what would it be, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, yeah, like a bunch of Thrall Elite perching them on the flags, that actually would make more of a difference.
Game on.
Yeah, we need these guys to go. Vigor, Gerald. Alright, let's see how they do it. Right off the bat, we see Monty grabbing a flag, getting some time.
Flag captured. Flag captured.
I don't really like the
Flag captured.
being aggressive with the spiders.
Flag captured.
I think spiders actually have
Flag
a massive amount of late game value.
Flag captured.
So
Flag
I think
contested. Flag
keeping your spiders alive
Flag
is more
captured.
important than the handful of
Flag
seconds
lost.
that you get
Flag
from this initial rush.
Flag
I think
captured.
I would rather just
Flag
perch
lost.
them in the back somewhere
Flag
to
contested.
ensure that they survive.
Flag captured.
Meanwhile, we
Flag
see a little bit of a
Flag
confrontation
lost.
there. I think Gerald might have been losing
Flag
some Zerks.
lost.
Yeah, this is King of the Hill, so it is going to be pretty tough to capture all the action.
Flag captured.
But I will focus on the forest giants because they tend to drive the action here.
Flag captured.
We see Rat King already with 8 kills on this forest giant.
Flag lost.
He's just going to take out this... Oh, that... Yeah, this is a disaster.
Flag contested.
Yeah, that was not good right there. And we see Rat King just picking up some stray units.
Flag captured.
Already with 14 kills, and we're about a minute or something into the game. I don't know how it's possible that he got so many kills already.
Flag captured.
Oh, very lucky.
Flag captured.
And now Rat King is probably going to harass this group of people. Even though there are 2 forest giants. Okay, now we got Monty coming on the other side. One thing you'll notice is that these forest giants don't have any goals. That's kind of strange. Usually,
Lost.
you know, as you can see with Monty and
Flag
Rat King, they have a goal to
Flag
defend
contested.
and or potentially freeze the enemy forest giant. We
Flag
see,
captured.
I guess it was Gerald losing his forest giant. And Monty might actually lose his.
Flag captured. Flag contested. Flag lost.
Nice goal work there from Monty. Yeah, this is just surrounding. Nice pus.
Flag lost. Flag captured. Flag
And it
contested.
looks like
Flag
Vigor might
captured.
lose his forest giant. Yeah.
Flag contested.
And now this is pretty much over. They're already at 11%. I don't know how they lost so
Flag
many units in
lost.
so little time. Drunken Deer was given unit. I'm not really sure why he was given units. Could be a violation of the rules, but at this point, I don't think it makes much of a difference.
Flag contested.
I mean, this is kind of at the point where I
Flag
would just kind
captured.
of give up.
Flag captured.
Rat King getting one last kill before losing his forest giant, but I think he got something like 15 kills in a matter of, what, 3-4 minutes? I don't even know how that's possible.
Flag contested.
He must have been on a complete rampage. I think these are going to be the last
Flag captured.
the last guys. Monty showing off some World War II. Doesn't want to end it. He's going to let some of his friends get the damage.
Flag lost. Flag captured.
Drunken saying our RD just got pommeled way too quickly. I don't know why he's using our. Which side? Whose team are you on, Drunken? I thought he was on our team, the Juggernauts, but who knows?
Team eliminated.
All right, then that is that. I mean, honestly, okay, so Drunken Deer must have gotten, he lost 14 units. This might be a violation of the rules. I'm not sure. You know, Rat King is the tournament operator, so if he allowed it to happen, then I guess it's okay. But I don't know. all I will say is that last week Rat King said the games have to be 7-on-7, and so I had to sit. Next thing you know, we see a sub for Drunken Deer, a sub for Avon's Grove in the form of Drunken Deer, who's the 8th player, and all 8 players were able to play for Avon's Grove. And so, it can be 7-on-8 if it's versus Avon's Grove, but if it's versus someone else, then it has to be 7-on-7. So Overdose has to sit. I guess that's just the way the world works. But as far as this game is concerned, I honestly have no comment because it was just over so quickly. I have no idea what happened. I mean, we saw that artillery accident over here. I mean, I think those artillery were way too exposed anyway, and they were going to get killed. But somehow Rat King was able to, maybe he went up this west side and just kind of curved around or something. But the first time I clicked on him, he already had like 8 kills. So I mean, he must have done something over in this area. And it was over pretty quickly. And frankly, I have no idea what happened. But yeah, I mean, that was that. Unfortunately, Avon's Grove with that tournament loss is now on the brink of elimination. So I think they're either going to face Team Juggernauts or Team who would it be? Men in Tights. Men in Tights won. Of course, Save Myth won. Juggernauts lost. Rat-Sized Cats won. So yeah, who knows? They'll face the loser of, or actually they'll probably face Team Juggernauts maybe this Saturday, and then the loser of that game will face Team Save Myth on Sunday. I think that's probably how it's going to work. But oh yeah, that's right, because Team Save Myth lost to Men in Tights, so that means Save Myth, Rat-Sized. Sorry, it's late, and I drove from freaking Tucson today. But yeah, Rat-Sized Cats and Men in Tights are undefeated. Save Myth, Avon's Grove, and Juggernauts each have 1 loss. So I think what's going to happen is Team Avon's Grove and Juggernauts will play in an elimination, winner moves on, loser goes home scenario on Saturday. And then the winner of that match will play the following day on Sunday in, again, a winner go home scenario. And then whoever wins that match will face whoever loses between Men in Tights and Rat-Sized Cats next Sunday. So anyway, that is the status of today's games, today's Avon's Grove match. Thanks to all the members of Avon's Grove for showing up and playing. Hopefully a lot of these games, like, I think they had the right idea, or they had the perfect unit set. They just couldn't get enough push, or just a little bit out of lockstep, and Team Save Myth was able to capitalize on it. But I feel like the general framework is there, and it's really just a matter of the execution. There's still a lot of idle units, but hopefully that will change with time, and hopefully we will see Avon's Grove. Well, actually, no, because I'm on Team Juggernauts. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this Saturday in a win or go home scenario, and I'll see you next time.